Hello and welcome
Welcome.
to
Welcome.
a project that has been unintentionally months in the making and was already months in the making prior to the unintentional part of that. Um,
Exactly.
I am Lad. I am joined with my wonderful friend Misfit. Say hello.
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 Yeah, we remember to
We remember
introduce
to introduce
ourselves
ourselves at the top of the discussion for once in
because
our
we're
lives.
professional
We're
YouTubers.
professional YouTubers. Anyways, this is so for the last like almost year now, which is fucking crazy to say. I shouldn't be swearing this early in the video, but who gives a shit? We're not monetized
We're
anyway.
not fucking monetized.
Uh, for the last almost year now, we have been going through Misfit's favorite story, and now one of, if not my favorite stories of all time, One Piece. And
Woo,
around
One Piece.
around the halfway mark of doing that, well, I guess it wasn't the halfway mark in the timeline and the amount of time it took, but halfway in the story, we started making discussions. And at some
Yeah.
point along the way, I don't remember if it was me who pitched it or you who pitched it or both of us who pitched it, of the idea of doing the reverse, where we go through my favorite story of all time, the Xenoblade Chronicles trilogy, and doing this same thing where I am the guy who's familiar with it and you're the guy who's unfamiliar with it. And actually starting
Right.
from the beginning with discussions, since we were having so much fun doing the One Piece discussions, which are not gone, but are on a hiatus until
There's
either more
yeah, there's
Elbaf
just
comes
not.
out or I don't know, we decide to start doing weeklies, but I don't think we will.
Yeah, weeklies is tough.
Weeklies is tough, especially for our schedules, as evidenced by the
Yeah,
months in
really.
it, as evidenced by 2 months since the Straw Hat ranking. Anyways,
hmm
do you want to talk about your history with video game stories and stuff
Yeah.
first, or do you want me to start with
Um.
Xenoblade stuff, with my Xenoblade stuff?
I can start with my
All right, you go right ahead.
history, my sordid past with video game stories.
Sorted past.
So I am someone who deeply, deeply despises when there is interruptions in my video games of any kind,
Mm-hmm.
which has led me to be very anti-story in my video games.
Uphill battle.
So if I'm so
Yeah.
this has been a very interesting experience for me going through this first section of Xenoblade. It's better because I'm not the one actually playing the game.
Yes.
Lad
To
is playing through it,
clarify,
and
I
I
am
will.
playing. He's watching. All of it can be
Yeah,
found. All of the content we've covered for this section can be found on my channel, my own dedicated channel,
yep.
which I will have linked in the
That'll be
description that you
linked in
can
the
find.
description. Yep.
Um, which the first two chapters we did together, and then I did chapter three by myself, and then for other major
I
moments in the
watched it.
story, Misfit will be joining me for those as well. Um,
Yes. But yeah, I grew up as like a Mario, Sonic, Nintendo guy, and those games are kind of famous for not really caring about the story, and you just play the game, and then that's it. So story interrupting the gameplay has always just pissed me off. Um, I'm always someone who skips the cutscenes in any game. I just want to play the game. So
and my soul is
so
aching.
yeah. The
So
closest I've ever come to doing a story game was when we were much younger and you played through all of the Danganronpa games and I
yes,
watched
much younger.
a very similar thing
Long
to what's
time ago.
going
Very
on.
similar in a way, without the discussion videos, of course.
Right.
Um, so I
Uh,
guess to give instead background where I come from with video games, I am a huge story guy in video games. I love stories in video games. Um, I think it probably started with Persona 4, and then I branched out from there to just about everything. Uh, I've been even streaming some of myself experiencing those stories now on my own channel, which has been really fun. So for
mhm.
my specific history with Xenoblade, I discovered the original game around the time Shulk was announced for Smash. I think it was a little bit before he got announced for Smash. I don't quite remember because it's been like 10 fucking years. Um,
Yep.
but it was around that time, and I saw a lot of the story, like watching it, because obviously the Wii game is basically impossible to find. Um, and
Yeah.
then I played Xenoblade X when it launched, got through not a lot of it, having just played through the entirety of the remake last like month or two. Um, and then dropped it at some point to play other stuff because I was much younger than I am now, because that game also came out 10 years ago. And then played Xenoblade 3D on the 3DS all the way to the end. Absolutely loved it. Had forgotten about most all of the twists and stuff by the time I played that game on the 3DS. Played through the whole thing. Absolutely adored it. Was one of my favorite games of all time. And then played Xenoblade 2 on release and absolutely fucking hated it. I truly, I was, and this stayed true for at least 5 years. I was a staunch Xenoblade 2 hater. Maybe 4 years. And then, when Pyra and Mithra were announced for Smash Ultimate, I was upset, as Misfit can account, because I'm pretty sure we were on call for that
We absolutely
direct.
were, and he was
And
so
I was
pissed.
pissed off. I was upset because I hated that game. But, you know, after that happened, and they got announced, I said, fine, you know what? It has been 4 or 5 years. I have myself changed dramatically as a person since I played Xenoblade 2. Let's go in, give it a fair shot without any preconceived notions, without any of my known hatred. Just go in, give it my own, just a really honest opinion. And I loved it. It was life-changing. It was beautiful. And it is one of the most beautiful things I've ever experienced. And Xenoblade 2 is so good when you don't have a bitch in your ear telling you it sucks. Unfortunately, the first time I played it, I was the bitch in my ear telling me it sucked. And so I hated it. And then I participated.
Shulk. I miss my Australian man.
Yeah. Also, at some point in there, I played the Xenoblade Definitive Edition, which is what we're playing for these discussions. And then I was there for all of the discussion and the pre-release hype for Xenoblade 3, which was a bunch of fun that I absolutely loved. I have a bunch of fond memories of like checking like Twitter and YouTube and Reddit in my lunch break at my internship, where we had really shitty internet and it took like 5 minutes to load like a reload on Reddit to see what people were discussing, like from the background of trailers and like Twitter and like translations of the Twitter releases, or like Luxon videos discussing the Twitter leaks and stuff. And like, I loved all of it. And then absolutely loved that game. And then also was part of the pre-release excitement for Future Redeemed after that. And then here I am now, having played Xenoblade 1 like 3 or 4 times, 2 3 times, and then 3 only once. And here now playing them again with my good friend to help share my love for this series with him and maybe at least one person out there in the world that watches one of these videos. With all that said, I think... Are you ready
I want to clarify.
Oh, you got more. Okay, go right ahead. Sorry.
I'm not going into this as someone who hates video game stories. I am coming in with an open mind, and I have very much enjoyed it so far. I just didn't want people to think that I'm immediately negative as soon as we start.
Yes. He's not. Yeah. I mean, at least if you go back to the first stream, you can see how much he was enjoying it. Even if that first stream is a little scuffed due to some audio things that I have since fixed on my stream. But that was 2 months ago, and this is now, so... With all that said, I think, are we ready to jump in? Because if we're ready to jump in, then I will be leaving the floor to you, because it's a little weird, because I've been leading most of the discussions for the last 6 months as the blind person, but now it is your turn to take the wheel. I will respond, maybe have some questions for you, and also, since I am more familiar with both the series in general as well as the gameplay system specifically, I think my focus will mostly be on some stuff about how the gameplay ties into the story and helps to enhance it, and yours will be more about directly the plot itself as we move forward.
Right.
So, I leave it to you. You're up.
So, the very first thing that, like, we open in is that scene, I think you called it, like, the Battle of Sword Valley or something.
Yeah, with Dunban?
Yeah.
Yeah, the battle of Sword Valley. Yeah.
And Dunban is a character that is so immediately intriguing. Like, you can tell that he was the hero of his own story at one point, even though now he's sort of like a mentor figure. But he very much has that like main character energy.
Right.
And there's so much, like right off the bat, there's so much mystery about like the world, for those of you who aren't familiar with Xenoblade and you're watching this for some reason,
Yeah, I guess
um,
I could give first of all, if you're not
yeah,
familiar
you
with
could,
Xenoblade, go play it. They're amazing, please, or watch the streams.
yeah.
Even I would prefer you played them, but watch the streams at least. Um, the main setting is the two titans, the Bionis and the Mechonis, eons ago fought each other to the death and killed each other, and then now we are following the story of a bunch of people living and have come about and lived and evolved on the bodies of these two titans, with
Right.
humanity and biological life on the Bionis, and then these machines that are attacking us from the Mechonis.
Which is, I mean, it's a trope of like, humanity surviving on the giant bodies of ancient gods or whatever. It's always sick. I don't
It
care
is
if it's a
very
trope.
cool.
It's always cool as hell.
It's very cool. It's part of why I love this series broadly so much. And also, I don't think I
Yeah.
ever told you this, but a fun bit of trivia about this game in particular. After
Mhm.
Monolith, or the developers that eventually became Monolith Software, um, fell out with Square Enix and then Bandai Namco, and they were looking to pitch this game to somebody, the way that they convinced and pitched this to Nintendo, I think to Iwata back when he was still alive, was they literally
Mhm.
built models of the Bionis and the Mechonis and pitched them with a
Oh,
physical
hell yeah.
model of like these two giant titans that people are living on, which is so cool.
That's sick. That's so sick. Oh man. Um, I'm looking at my notes that I took, uh,
Way back when.
like all those months ago, and I have one that just says dragonfly is important,
Oh, it's
and I don't
the
remember what that means.
when we first are introduced to Shulk, he is a sort of iconic shot at this point where he lays down in the
Hmm.
grass, and then a little
Right. Yeah.
dragonfly lands on like a stick or a blade of grass in front of his face from the camera's position, and it like focuses on it, and he like focuses out.
Right.
That would be, I think, what
Yeah.
you're
Okay.
referencing there.
That's probably what I'm talking about then. But yeah, no. I'm really really interested in Dunban immediately. Um, just I really enjoy that sort of archetype of like the old
Like the
sort
old
of
hero.
grizzled hero who's like past his prime. It's a really cool. It's just I enjoy it a lot, but
I'm right there with you.
uh, yeah. And then what you were kind of talking about a little bit, which I think is really really interesting, is that like seemingly the Monado is like the thing about Dunban not being able to use his own arts
Yeah. So like
like
one of the
during gameplay with
yeah,
the Monado.
with the Monado,
So
Dunban
it
is
seems like
only
it's
able to
like
use the Monado's
holding
arts.
him back somehow, or like
Yeah,
he can't fully
or like
wield its
controlling him or
power.
something.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there is
Similar to
some
what
weird
happens
thing about
with Ryan in that one cutscene.
him being like controlled.
Yeah, doesn't yeah, Dumban says that to Shulk in there's the flashback when he
Yeah.
gets back from Sword Valley. He says that at the end it was controlling him, not him. He wasn't the one
Hmm.
in control in Sword Valley.
Right. So like there's something to do with like the Monado having its own will, which is weird. It's a sword,
It's a sword.
but it's not a sword. It's just like it's a metal thing that has energy inside of it.
Energy inside it and like glass panes in the circle.
Yeah. Which I hate. I'm pissed off that it's glass. I always assumed it was just floating there. That I was
I'm
really
sorry. I'm
disappointed.
sorry.
Uh,
It's not like it
but no,
comes up very often.
we then get introduced to Shulk, our main guy. He's
Our
that got
protagonist.
shot with the dragonfly,
Yep.
uh, which is still suspicious, and I don't know why.
Hee hee.
Um,
Now I get to say hee hees to
all
you.
right. No, no,
This is
no,
the
no,
world
I'm
you've
getting
welcomed yourself
hee-heed.
into.
I'm getting hee-heed, no. Fuck. But yeah, so we get introduced to Shulk and his two friends. What's it? Ryan
Rhine and
and
Fiora.
Fiora.
Rhine and Fiora,
Yeah.
yes.
Um, I don't have too much to say about Ryan at the moment. He's kind of just like a goofy, gaffy character so far. He hasn't really given me
That's fair.
much to chew on.
He says alley oop. Have you
Um,
considered that?
yeah, you're right. Never mind. He's my favorite character.
Never mind, goat status.
Good stats. And then Fiora, which for anyone who hasn't seen it, she dies at the end of this section,
Yeah, well, like part of the way through the
which
section,
was
but yes,
fucked up.
very fucked up.
Very very clearly was being set up to die. I in no way expected her to die at the end of like the prologue.
I did do
That
my best to
was
hide it. I am
he
a
did
known
he did
schemer and liar. I said that she had strong skill trees in the end game, which was a lie. And also I hid the screen while I hid the fact that she didn't have extra equipment like the other two, and then pretended
right.
that it was an accident. So I'm a little schemer and an elf, and you can't trust anything I
Yeah,
say.
he was exactly. I think the most interesting part about this section that we're covering for me is the like mystery and intrigue around Metalface and the Monado.
They are maybe our two most
Because
central mysteries at the moment. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and that's what my brain and I'm like gravitating towards at the moment.
Mhm.
Um, I haven't really gotten a full like grasp on like the gameplay loop and like how the gameplay works the best because I'm not actually playing it. Um, but yeah, like the mystery of where like what's up with these giant titans? Like, are they gonna like wake up or something? Is a question in the back of my mind. And then Metal Face seems to be some sort of hybrid between like biological and mechanical life that is like immune to the Monado's power until its like shell is cracked somehow. It's very strange.
Yeah, something that
It's very
Fiora did
strange.
by shooting him in the head with like the ether cannon caused him to be able to be slightly
Right.
hurt by the Monado.
Right.
And the strange glowing light that Shulk mentions.
Right, yeah. There's also the whole like Shulk having visions thing, which I think comes from the Monado?
It at least
Question
seems
mark
to be
maybe?
happening when he picks it up, because when he picked it
Right.
up in the lab, he got a vision. He mentions offhand that he's had them before and has never told
Hmm.
anybody, which is crazy. And then starts seeing them again when he picks up the Monado to fight after Dunban can no longer wield it. So it seems to be
Yeah.
resulting from the Monado, yes.
Uh-huh. I guess that's most of what I have so far. Like it's if you want to ask like some probing questions to try to get my mind thinking about things differently because at the moment I'm kind of just like I just have so many questions and I don't have answers.
Right. Um, I guess, maybe a first question is sort of, where do you think we're going next? Like, what do you think is, like, obviously the current goal
Yes.
of Shulk and Rhine is to get to the Mechonis and kill every last one of them. But what
Right,
do you
Eren
think?
Yeager
What do you think
style.
needs to happen along the way? Like, what are the things that you think are maybe upcoming or soon? And maybe I'm
So
getting too quick
some
into
of the
predictions, but I think it's
well,
a
well, I mean we're at the very beginning. It's kind of
right.
all we
There's not
got.
a that's
I
true.
haven't had enough time to chew on themes yet.
Exactly.
So I have a note here that says, like it's a quote. It says the Monado as more than a military weapon? Question mark imperialism? Question mark. Which is how I write notes. But so I feel like there's going to be some sort of like conflict with the other like settlements or maybe settlement 9 are we in?
We're in Colony 9 is where we're at.
Colony 9.
And then I
With
believe
like
we're
the
headed to Colony 6 because we know that Colony 6 has a thing that can get us to the Sword Valley or to the sword.
right.
So we're headed to
Um
Colony 6 at the moment.
yeah. But it feels like there might be some sort of like uh some sort of squabble with the leadership of humanity somehow with like this quote unquote weapon, which I feel like the Monado was never. It feels like a sort of like the Omnitrix, how like it wasn't meant to be a weapon but is being used as one now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I
If
feel like there's gonna be something. Oh, yeah, you go.
If not a weapon, then what?
I think it's like a key. Is my immediate reaction to that
Interesting.
question. I feel like it's a key to something
Any
because
idea
it's
of what it
vaguely
might
key
unlock?
shaped.
Maybe something to
Like,
do with the visions? Just ask,
I
I'm
got
just, you know, putting out
maybe I don't
ideas.
know. Like maybe you gotta put the Monado into the heart of the Mechanis, and then we get to pilot it around like a big mech.
So it's like Simone's drill.
Yes, it's Simone's drill,
You
exactly.
stab the Monado into the heart of the Mechanis, and then you twist the blade, and then it turns on and it revs like a
Yeah,
motorcycle.
exactly. That's exactly what happened. Yes. But no, I just like I don't know if I don't know where that thought came from. It was just the very first thing that came to
Mhm.
mind when you asked that. Was like it feels like it's a key.
Right. I also
Um,
think, on the topic of the Monado, I think it's worth mentioning that, at least as far as humanity knows, they've only known about the Monado for 14 years. We know that because we've seen Dixon
oh,
finding it 14 years ago.
right, yeah.
There was an
But
expedition
that's as far
team
as we
in
know.
some snow-covered location that found this like chamber that looks very sort of weirdly futuristic chamber
Hmm.
that has the Monado in
Right,
it. And then they've had it for about 14 years, and it's been their one weapon that can damage the Mechon.
right. I feel like there is definitely like some sort of society before like that created the Monado or
Some like
something.
ancient high tech civilization that made the Monado.
Yeah. Because there was something else about that with like the robots in the
Yeah,
like
Shulker Rhine says something along those lines with the there's like the where they get the ether cylinders from is this like weird
yeah.
sort of futuristic place with these defense robots that
Hmm.
attack them, and they speculate maybe because the Mechon were showing up, and that's why they activate it.
Right. Maybe.
Maybe.
But yeah, it definitely feels like there's some sort of like ancient, super advanced like civilization that we're like living off of their like scraps or whatever. Excuse me. I have a bit of a cold, so I might cough a little bit.
It's all right.
Uh, but yeah, there's that, and then maybe it's something like the original inhabitants. Oh, wait, no, I'm getting there. Um, it's so the Monado is a key, which does turn on the giants, and this has happened before, where like they fight to the death or whatever, and so there's been like multiple cycles of this happening in humanity, like and machinanity. I don't know what you would call
I
the Mechon.
Okay, so you think
But
that like
whatever.
it resets the war
Like there's a
between
cycle.
the
Yeah,
giants, and then they kill each other again, and then civilization has to start from anew from the beginning again?
exactly. Yes, yes,
All right.
yes. That's my theory right
Okay.
now.
And now I'm just to sort of play devil's advocate a little bit, and take this
Hmm.
however you want. If you think this is me shooting you down because you're on the wrong path, or shooting you down because you're on the right path, that's up to you.
Yeah.
Um, but I would like to remind you, and I think you had questioned this in the stream when they mentioned this, that I believe it is mentioned in this section that it is said that the Monado is the sword of the Bionis.
Yeah.
And you had gotten onto that because of like religious things. You were like, isn't it strange that they're wielding the weapon of like their pseudo creator, in the sense that they've like evolved from the life of the Bionis?
Yeah, I do
Do
remember
you
that
think
now.
that is anything to it? Like maybe maybe the fact that the Bionis doesn't have its sword is the problem, or could it be something else? You think?
I mean, that could be something. Now that you've reminded me, I said that. Um, I do. Huh. I'm really hung up on this key thing, which is maybe I'm too locked in on that. But
I've been locked in
if
on crazier theories than that, my friend.
this is true, you said Frankie was gonna be a traitor.
I sure did. I'm so sorry, Frankie. I didn't mean
Um,
it.
but yeah, it's very it is a cool like religious aspect there. because like they are living on their creator god, and if the sword, if the Monado is the Bionis' sword, how how
How?
is it
How is it so
small?
small? How is Shulk able to wield it, right?
It just doesn't
Because
make
in
any
the
sense.
original opening cutscene, it's like a giant laser sword as big as the Mechonis' sword, and that thing is a physical object stabbed into the Bionis. So
Right. So I think that they might just be wrong. Like the religious
maybe it's like
aspect is there
a
just
it's just like a religious people making up sort of an idea and a thing to worship
yeah,
kind of thing.
right.
Okay.
Maybe. Um but I do think that by the end of this we are gonna see the Titans like revived. I think that's they feel like a giant Chekhov's gun that's just waiting.
Mm-hmm. I
Um
suppose one more thing on the
yeah.
Monado before we move on, although maybe there's more to the Monado to talk about. It is sort of it's hard to not talk about the Monado,
Yeah,
right?
it's the MacGuffin of the
Uh,
series.
it's the MacGuffin that
It is
also
the
you hit people with.
Xenoblade.
It is the Xenoblade of Xenoblade One. But I want to mention in Tefra Cave when Shulk falls asleep, he has a dream, and he is confronted with some mysterious figure in some mysterious place who mentions finding the true Minato. Do you think that that is anything to do with
Oh, I did
anything, the
forget
key and
about that.
everything? I in fact,
The true
I'm gonna pull
Monado.
up that cutscene so that you can
Yeah,
see any of it.
we're
In
gonna.
case we have I'm showing him the scenes right now. In case there's anything
Yeah,
else in this cutscene, it's gonna be playing in the background while you're talking, and then you can look at it, or I
yeah.
can talk if you want to wait because
Um,
it's gonna take a minute to get there.
yeah, it'll take a minute. Yes, talking about the true Monado is interesting because why? What is this one then? Is the first
Yeah,
question
is it a fake Minato?
immediately. Right. I think that I think that the Monado is like originates from the Mechonis for some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And like this one is maybe like an imitation or like a fake that is from the Mechonis for some reason, and then the true Minato is somehow in the Bionis still,
Right.
like the Bionis' sword.
And so then maybe it being from Mechonis is the reason that it could hurt the people of Mechonis.
Right, yeah.
Like maybe it was is
But then what's up with Metalface?
yeah. Why
Metalface
do
is
he
different.
Metalface
He's
is
something
different?
else. He's I don't he's not either Mechonis or human or Homs, is that what they're
Homs.
called?
They're called Homs. Yes. The people of the Bionis. There's
Okay.
the Homs, and we've also met the Napon.
Yes, the
The little
Napon,
funny
the
guys.
little freaks.
The little funny guys. I love the Napon.
Yeah. um, huh. Yeah, I think that's my running theory right now is that the current Monado that we have is a fake or imitation of the Mechonis, and we eventually need to find the true Monado, which is the actual sword of the Bionis.
Right.
Locking it in. Official theory.
Okay. Locked in. Locked in. The Minato is from the Mechonis. It's a fake. We need to find the real one.
hmm
And then what do we
Um,
do? What do we do with it? Do we do any? Is there any like you have any ideas of what we might do
then
with
we
it?
gotta then we gotta kill Metalface for killing our girlfriend.
Okay.
We need to get the true Monado to kill
To
Metalface,
kill Metalface.
who is definitely going to be the final boss of this game.
You think so?
Maybe he feels like he could be, but he also feels like he could be in like the initial like a crocodile figure.
Right. Of like
He's like
our
you know
initial
he's
main threat, and then something else comes
right.
along.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Um,
But yeah. So where? Hmm. Do you have more questions for me to try
uh
to probe out some thoughts?
let's see. Well, here we
Because
go. I guess the last note on the dream, since we're now looking at the dream.
yeah.
He asks this mysterious figure asks Shulk questions about does he want to change the future if he can? And if you want to do so, find the true Minato, and the future is yours. Basically, is
Yeah,
what they
I'm
imply.
also a little bit wondering if these visions that he's seeing are able to be changed,
I mean, he
which I
sees a
think we've
vision of
seen
Ryan
already.
dying, and he's seen a visions of himself getting hurt and
Right,
then
and
avoiding the
he can avoid
attacks.
that. But
So I guess
it's
is the question:
whenever
are
you
all of them
have
changeable? Is maybe the question.
like prophecy and stuff like that in a story, the question always arises of can you do anything about it?
Right.
You know, um, which also kind of leads me into a little bit of my last note because I only took a few notes. Um, that it says Shulk is Aaron Yeager,
So
and
you
I'm
think?
wondering if there is gonna be this like under because like Shulk is a very seemingly like mild dude. Like he doesn't seem like he's super boisterous or angry at the world
No,
or
he's
anything
much more of a
like Aaron
quieter
was.
thinker, right?
But I'm wondering if there's going to be any sort of like almost negative arc for him now that Fiora is dead
Fiora's dead, and now that he's on a
and
quest for
he's like on a
revenge.
revenge mission. Yeah. So,
Like, and I guess just to throw out the idea, maybe of like
yeah.
a split between choosing either, say, option A. I'm bringing this up because I've heard this before from somebody in this section of the game, so I don't feel like it's wrong to
Hmm.
say.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, a split between either Shulk going down this destructive path of revenge, or listening to the advice that Dunban gave him and treasuring the gift of life that Fiora gave him. And then maybe those two
right.
paths are not the same one, and he thinks they are.
Yeah. That is interesting. I also feel like that might tie in somehow with the True Minato vision thing
Mm-hmm.
dream where like maybe like to find the true Minato, you kind of have to give up on this revenge mission. Um, and I know that this isn't a game with like multiple endings. I don't think
No, there is not.
so. So there's just like a linear story there, but I don't know. I feel like there is going to be some like big internal conflict within Shulk, um, of like he has this rage now and not being able to like give it up. Um, or having that struggle of giving up his revenge to treasure this life that he has.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that also will have something like the Monato's gonna play into that somehow with like maybe he's able to wield the Monato so well because of his like strength of will or something, and when he is faltering and in like an emotionally compromised position, the Monato like takes him over or something,
Mm-hmm.
and like he stops being able to use his own arts or something like Dunban, or he gets Monado cancer like Dunban,
Yeah.
or
I also
something like
think
that. I feel like
it's
that'd be
worth
an
noting.
interesting.
I think it's
Mhm.
also worth noting that Shulk is not the only character who is currently motivated by the death of Fiora and that want for revenge.
This is true. There is also
So, I
I
mean, I don't
keep
want
wanting to call him Ricky because that's the only other
to.
character from this who I knew prior, but it is Ryan. He's Ryan.
Yeah, is we still have Ryan, and then presumably Dunban is, as according to his own words, he's right behind us,
Right.
and so
And
maybe
Fiora is
his
his
sister,
little sister. Right?
yeah, his little sister,
Yeah. So there's a lot of people who are motivated who could be revenge motivated at the moment.
and
Um,
maybe the way that they each react to that could potentially rise into conflict, especially if the Monado is playing into that. Maybe.
right, like some like inter party drama there. Um, because we all three of these people because Ryan tried to use a Monado, right?
Yeah, he picked it up because he just wanted to see what it was like, and then it took control of him, and he just started swinging wildly,
Right, yeah.
and then it hit
So all
Fiora and
three
did
of these
nothing.
people have used
The Monado at some
the
point.
Monado before. And so there's maybe some like I don't know, like some trace of it left inside all of them or something
Mhm.
that'll like breed conflict or something. I don't know. I'm just
Maybe.
spitballing. I feel like the Monado is somehow malicious, which I guess is something that I'm coming to the
To your,
conclusion of.
like, the more
Is
you
it
think
feels
about the
like the
Monado,
Monado it feels way super sinister now.
I mean, what could be
with the way
sinister
that
about
it like controls people and it like drains Dunban of his like life force seemingly. It definitely feels like it is not like this super weapon like that humanity can rely on. Which I guess also goes into plays into the fact of like it's a fake, it's an
It's a
imitation,
key.
and the true, yeah, it's a key. Fuck.
But if it's a
There's a
key and
lot.
it's
There's a lot to chew on.
malicious, if it's malicious and a key, do we want to open it? Do we want to open whatever is behind that
Yeah,
door?
yeah, that's a good question. Because like I feel like we have to. I feel like it would be a bad story if there was a key and
And
something
then it
to
doesn't
unlock and we
open.
didn't unlock it.
Oh, but unlocking it would be bad. That means you have to unlock the door, right?
Exactly.
That's more the reason to unlock it.
Right. From like a narrative perspective. Hmm. Yeah, I do still think it's a key. I do still think it's a key. And it's gonna be like opening Pandora's box or some shit, and it's gonna turn the giants back on. But why would both of them get turned on if it's just the one thing? I got no idea. I'm I'm thinking out loud.
I mean, it's not like you've had a ton to go off of, and also didn't have a two
I
month
know.
in
I'm really trying.
between watching this and then the
Yeah,
recording. You
I'm really
know,
trying to predict the end of the story right now
you
after
should. It's like
watching
trying to predict the end
three
of the story in
chapters.
Romance Dawn,
Yeah,
or I guess Arlong Park is maybe what I would say this is.
yeah, but
Um, I guess also I wanted to
yeah,
spend a little bit. I can talk a little bit of my thoughts on this section and why I like this
yeah,
section
yeah.
so
I wanna hear a
much.
little bit of
Um,
what your initial thoughts were.
it's tough to say what my initial thoughts were because it's been so long since I played this
Yeah, I mean,
section
yeah, it's
blind for the
been
first time. I
like almost a
remember
decade.
it has been almost a decade. I remember experiencing loss, the cutscene when Fiora dies for the first time,
Hmm.
and I had never seen anything like it before. Even still, you
Right.
don't
Yeah.
see things like this very often. I mean, there's places where it exists, but
Hmm.
very rarely this early in the story, you know? Like,
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, a famous example, I guess, spoilers for Final Fantasy VII. The game came out in 1997. If you've not been spoiled for this yet, God save you. Um, Aerith dies in that game, right? And that's
Yo, what?
what Aerith dies. Aerith dies, and that's a huge moment too. But even still, like the Aerith death is different than this is. I think the
Right.
way that it's
Like you.
executed, the way that it's done, and like obviously there are elements of the Aerith death that are in this because there's in no way was a thing like this not inspired by the Aerith death with how influential of a
Right.
game Final Fantasy VII is and was.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I think it's like these. It was something that because I hadn't played FF7 by the time I played this game. I played it by now, obviously, but like
Right. Yeah.
it is such a moment that like the game opens, and this is done through like the gameplay with this like epic war between the Bionis and the Mechanis, and Dunban's the
Right.
hero, and then you cut back to Shulk and you're in this like grassy town, and you exit out from the little like small rocky pathway, and this sprawling colony has out in front of you with a giant lake and these tall mountains and everything that you can see,
Hmm.
and you're given
Yeah.
this promise of this game is going to be a grand adventure and a battle for humanity's survival against these evil machines. And then immediately it is brought down to this like so intimately personal level immediately.
Right.
It would be so easy to wait until there's some conniving like overarching villain to be introduced and then have him have rapport with Shulk, to instead just have it be this silent machine that's like got a stitched smile on its face as it
Yeah.
skewers
Like
the
Metal Face
love
is
interest. He's
so
creepy,
freaky
he's weird, he's
immediately.
got like sword fingers, and he like
Yeah.
slithers around and he taunts people without saying a word, and he's so menacing, especially in this first introduction,
Right.
that like it's just something. And the way that it ties that into the gameplay of like you've had Fiora in the party, and depending on how long it takes you to get through Tefra Cave, because some of Tefra Cave for a first time playthrough is pretty tough. I mean, there's
Hmm.
multiple high-level unique monsters in there. I mean, you saw on stream me, a person who's pretty
Yeah,
experienced, getting
yeah.
my ass kicked by some of those unique monsters because I was trying to fight them too early. And then the fight at the end of that dungeon, the one with the little robots, on a blind playthrough when
Hmm.
you don't know how the systems work, is genuinely very hard. I
Right.
personally struggled with it on my blind playthrough. In the stream, it was super easy and we crushed it in like a minute. But like, I can attest multiple a friend of mine who played the games got completely owned by that boss. Like a bunch of different streamers playthroughs who are really really good and like great playthroughs also get owned by that boss. Like it is such a and through all that heartache and all that trouble and all that combat, you're there with Shulk and Ryan and Fiora the whole time.
Right. And Fiora is your healer, correct?
No, we don't have a
Or
healer.
she's
The
like,
the closest thing we have to a
oh,
healer is Shulk. He has a heal, but it's not very good. But
right, yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
she's part of the combo. Shulk has break, Ryan has topple, she has daze, and then
Hmm.
like just her being and rip, and then like even still when you move into Tefra Cave again with just Shulk and Ryan, you don't have chain attack anymore because you don't have three people.
Exactly, yeah.
Like
So
you
like your
losing
the
Fiora
gameplay
is it rips
impacts
away from you, and it's done so
like it pulls
early.
away your part of your power as like the player,
Exactly,
where
and so like
you've gotten used to this system and this like like you're saying like the rock paper
yeah,
scissors, the way that you chain your attacks together,
and you got
and then
used to
it's
doing that
so
through
it's
hard
just
battles, and then it's
immediately
ripped away from you, completely
ripped
out of your
away.
control. In the same way that it is out of Shulk's control, he's stuck on the ground, paralyzed, watching
Right.
a vision of the future, and then watching that vision come to life. You're sitting there helpless in a cutscene where you can't fight Metalface, and even still, right beforehand, you were doing one damage to him. Even in gameplay, you couldn't stop Metalface from
Exactly.
killing Fiora.
And that's what I'm really the most interested in like doing this series with you is understanding and having this like appreciation that you do for the way that the story actually impacts the gameplay, because I do think that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
I agree that that's sick. It's just always been such a hurdle for me to like
Get
stop
there,
playing the video game.
right? And then, I mean, even still,
Um,
the gameplay thing continues too into the Tefra Cave with just Shulk and Rhine, because after you
right.
lose Fiora, after this loss, not only are they, from a storytelling perspective, thrust into a dark cave immediately after their
Hmm.
loss, but you as the player are in this cramped, tight area. You have to creep past like spider eggs. Ryan gets ripped away from you, and you have to run past these enemies that are not that strong, but by Shulk by himself cannot fight them because he cannot stay alive
Hmm.
without Ryan. And so you get this
Right.
like in the story they are selling you on Shulk needs Ryan to be there, and they help sell you on that by literally taking Ryan away from you for a brief window of
Yeah.
time. And you're like, we already lost Fiora. I can't lose Ryan. We can't continue
Right.
without Ryan. We
Exactly.
need both of these guys here. And there's this I love it. I think it's really
Yeah.
cool the
No,
way
it's
that it's
sick.
done. And I I don't know. I'm excited to look at it from this perspective too, because it's not something that I think about as much as I think I would like to say that I do. But I think there is a lot of
Hmm.
interesting stuff here, and I've already been sort of blown away by some of the stuff I never even realized with Xenoblade One's gameplay narrative combination stuff. Because like in two and three, some of the things are a little more in your face about them, like with some more
Right. Yeah.
gameplay
Yeah. Yeah.
systems being more interspersed, similar to how Shulk's visions are added into gameplay, which is also a great idea that I'm a big fan
Yeah.
of. Um,
Very cool.
and I don't know, I think it's really cool. I'm so excited to be able to spread that sort of thinking and sort of experience to you even
Yeah. No.
remotely
It's. I
through
mean,
streams.
it's really like it's really interesting. Like I said, like it's not something that I've ever like cared about or really experienced in the world of video games. And so like I don't know, I'm very excited,
Me too. I'm
I
excited.
guess
I'm just so happy to be doing
is
this. I'm
my
just so excited to be doing this.
yeah.
I
This is how
guess
I felt forcing you to watch One Piece.
I know. I guess a few more questions. I've got another question came to my mind about the Monado because I think
Hmm.
it's something that is an English player, and I never thought about this, and most playthroughs you'll find on YouTube won't really think about this because unless you know Japanese kanji, it doesn't really mean anything to you. Do you think there's
Hmm.
something to worry about or to think about with the symbols in the Monado? Because they are Japanese kanji. Do you think it's just like a style thing, or maybe it's something else. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting thing to
I
think
mean, I
about.
guess it's hard to answer, I guess, without like knowing what they say.
Right. I
But
mean,
I
I
assume you're
can.
asking this for a reason.
Maybe I
And
am.
so
Maybe I'm not. Maybe I think they're cool, and I want to talk about them.
you're not that slick.
You think I'm not that slick?
You're not that slick.
You think I'm not that slick? I lied about
But
I
no,
lied
like
about
it's
gameplay elements before. Okay, buddy.
yeah, you did. But no, I think there definitely is something to it. Um, what it is, I could never tell you, again because I don't speak Japanese or read kanji.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. They probably mean bad things.
I mean, I can tell you that they don't necessarily they're just like words. Like most of them, I think. I guess so far we've seen what, three. There's Buster, Enchant, and Shield. The kanji for
Mhm.
Shield is just Shield.
Right. Okay.
So the kanji for Enchant says Machine, and it's also the art that lets you lets the other party members damage the Mechon for a brief period of time. And then
Mhm.
Buster, I think the kanji is like to cut or to like behead, something like that. And is
Okay.
your big damaging attack with the Monado. So at
Mhm.
the moment they're sort of, I mean, straightforward to what they do,
Right.
but I think they're cool. I just think it's cool that they have cool symbols on there because I'm a
All
nerd.
right. Okay.
But I don't know. I just think it's, and then
Um,
there's the, I don't know. To me, it's the mention that they can't read them because you would think that maybe in a game like this that they would just like be speaking
oh
Japanese in
yeah,
canon,
that is
right?
that is a part of it.
But they don't know what the symbols mean.
They don't
That's sort of
they
where
don't
I'm getting
read
at is that Shulk doesn't know what they
Japanese.
mean. They can't read Japanese. This is more so what I'm
So
getting
I
at.
get that. I mean, that goes to kind of more say like what I was talking about earlier is about how like this comes from a previous culture,
Right.
like that was
So maybe the Monado
more
is from
advanced and Japanese, I guess.
Like a Japanese society that used to live on these Titans. Maybe
I guess.
I just think it's worth thinking about.
All right, I'll think about it.
I just think it's cool. I don't know.
Hmm.
At least I think it's
Chat,
interesting to note that
chat.
Shulk doesn't know what they mean.
He's hee heeing.
I'm
He's hee
hee heeing. Oh,
heeing right
I'm
now.
hee
I can
heeing all
tell.
the way to the bank. I've been hee heeing this whole time. Do I have any
um.
other things? I guess another question, and maybe this is hard for you to answer, not having a lot of experience with RPGs and stuff. What kind of person do you
Yeah.
think will join the party next? Because obviously we're gonna have more than Shulk
Ah.
and Ryan. So
Yeah, that is a good
it's not
question.
quite as simple of like what kind of role do you think the next Straw Hat crewmate will be? But like, what kind of
Yeah.
person do you think might join the team and join the fight against the
I
Mechon
mean,
next?
I, f- I feel like we should have a healer in the party,
Right?
but I also don't know if this is partly just because from my uh, inexperience with this genre, but I don't know if it's would be like gameplay wise good to give us a healer at this point, just from like a balance
Depends on the
perspective.
game. Depends on the game.
Yeah.
Some games are
So
balanced around there not being healers. Some games are balanced around you needing a healer all the time.
right. So I'm not entirely sure. Um, I do think it should be. I don't think that we should get someone with days again until very much later in the game.
Yeah, I don't think we don't get
Like I feel like we
days
need
back
I
for
feel
a
like we
little
need
bit.
to keep that like Fiora aspect of the gameplay loop.
Gone for a little bit longer.
Keep it gone
Make you
to
feel her
really
loss for just a little bit longer, like
exactly.
even
Yeah.
after
Sorry,
it's
I'm
something you're not thinking about.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll say a healer.
All right.
Is the next party member I would
So
assume we
then
get.
you think a
What
healer
kind
and
of
not
person,
Dunban,
personality wise?
or
No, I
Dunban could
don't
be
think
healer.
Dunban.
You don't think Dunban's the next character? Okay.
No, I don't think that he'll be the next one. I think that I mean I know that there's a guy named Ricky, just from
Yeah.
playing Smash. I know that he exists. Maybe he's a healer because I think he heals you when he comes out of an
I think
assist
he can
trophy.
heal you his assist trophy does a bunch of random shit. I think he
Yeah.
can heal you. He can do a
So
bunch of things.
so
Maybe.
maybe Ricky. As for like personality wise, what I think we need in the party, I think we need like like Shulk is very demure and very cutesy. Yep, I'm sticking with it. and
Pedal goes up.
Ryan is stupid and like boisterous. I feel like we need someone who's like either like fiery is the word that's coming to mind, like someone who's
Mhm.
like has a ton of energy, but not in like the sort of himbo way that Ryan does. That or like an edgy, brooding Sasuke
Oh,
type character.
we need our edgy party member. Let's go.
Yeah,
I
it's a
don't know.
fucking
I would
JRPG. Of
say
course
that's
we
true.
do.
It is a trend for many JRPGs. I would say that maybe Fiora was kind of that spunky character for the
Yeah,
group.
and so I feel like maybe I'm just missing that, and
Maybe we're just missing that
that's why I
glue that
feel like we
holds
need
Shulk and
that.
Ryan together, and we need that back.
Yeah,
But then the question is, would you think that would come back so quickly after losing Fiora? Can we just
probably
replace
not.
her
So I
with
feel like
somebody new?
so I feel like it is gonna be some
We're gonna get our edge
dark
lord who,
edge, some edge
he's
lord.
got like one eye and he wants to kill all the
Yeah,
Mechon.
well
My,
that's Shulk.
that's Shulk and Ryan and maybe Dumban.
Yeah, that actually I feel like probably most humans.
A lot of them probably, yeah.
Um,
Homs, a lot of Homs.
Homs. Yeah, Homs. Oh, give me one sec. I gotta go do something. I'll be
Okay,
right back.
all right. I can talk a little bit. So I don't know. I'm just so excited to be doing this. I think it's gonna be really fun. While Misfit is gone, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell if you really feel like it, although don't feel bad if you don't want to. I don't hit the bell on any channels. These
Okay.
Xenoblade videos should be going up pretty quickly compared to the One Piece drought that happened for 2 months.
Yep.
Because we should be back on track with our schedules again, hopefully, and no more cosmic intervention like last week. So these should be going up around every weekend or so, and then throughout the week, I will be streaming some of the game, whatever the next section is going to be, on my channel,
Yep.
which once again will be linked in the description. So yeah, do the YouTube things, and then now that you're back, we can keep talking if there's anything else you want to talk about.
Um, I'm not sure. I feel like I've kind of gotten. Oh, I guess I kind of wanted to touch a little bit more on the like Shulk's maybe like negative character arc, where like I just think he's going to have this sort of like. Actually, no, I did already say all this shit. I did
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. You had that
Oh, I'm
talk.
good.
I
Okay.
guess I don't know. I don't have much left. I think my last question is: do you have any thoughts about Dixon? Because he's really our only other major character that we haven't talked about.
I forgot about Dixon.
Is that he,
Um,
was war buddies with Dunban, found the Minato, and seems to be almost like a mentor-ish figure for Shulk in the lab sense, anyway.
yeah, like
Um,
he's like the scientist guy,
yeah,
right?
he's like a science guy.
I don't know. I never really put any thought into him, which maybe is on me. Um, but I don't know. I don't really have any thoughts on him, and you probing me about him is now suspicious. Um,
We only have so many major characters. I don't want to miss one.
you're right. You're right. No, I don't. I really don't have any thoughts on him. Like maybe something to do with him being the one to find the Monado and being it's sort of like the one who's studying it. He might become uh more important, but I really don't have anything on him right now. If I'm being real.
All right. And then I guess my only other thing I have is the very last cliffhanger at the end of chapter 3, which is that there's some sort of Mechon drone spying on Shulk and Ryan. And I want to see if you have any
Yeah.
thoughts about that. And if not, then no worries.
My general assumption of like what the primary antagonistic force in this story is going to be is I think that Metalface is somehow a like a hybrid of Mechonis and Bionis people, and is like using the Mechonis as like a factory or something, or like using it to like build an army
Mm-hmm.
of the Mechon. For what reason? I had no fucking clue. I have no idea. I don't understand if he even like. I don't know if he's even like a person. I mean, he seems like he has personality, but he might not. Maybe he's
I
just a
mean,
robot.
he doesn't talk, at least so far.
Right. Um. So that's what I'm assuming is gonna be. That's what I think is gonna happen.
All right.
Is Metalface is going to try to like raise this army to wipe out the Bionis creatures because he's evil, I guess.
Because
I don't
he's
know.
evil. No more motivation than that off the top of your
That's all
your
I that's all I
dome.
got right now.
I know.
That's all I got on him right
I'm just
now.
saying. I'm just saying.
I'm sure he will become an interesting and developed character at some point.
All right. Sorry, I was drinking
Yeah,
water.
what's that?
I wasn't being
Oh,
silent. I was drinking water. I wasn't like thinking about what to say next. That's not.
okay.
I'm a thirsty boy. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
I guess if we
I
don't
think
have
that might be
anything
all I have.
else, I mean, if that's all you've got, I don't think I have anything else. I talked about most of my gameplay stuff with Fiora and the Monado Arts
Mm-hmm.
and Tefra Cave. So I think
Yeah,
if that's all you've got, then we can end this one here.
yeah. We already
It has
told you to do all the
been.
YouTube.
We told you to
If
do all
you
the YouTube things. Do
if
them
you didn't
again.
do them
If you didn't do them the
10
first
minutes
time, do them
ago,
again.
do them now.
Also, a new promise. Before, the promise was that if you made Misfit cry with a comment about the series, that we would give a heart. Now it's my turn. If you make
Yeah.
me cry with a comment about the series, I'll put a heart on it instead of the other way around.
There we go. Yeah.
So that'll
But
be
yes, please, if
our new standard.
anyone who has thoughts on Xenoblade,
Yeah, if
please
you have
comment.
thoughts on Xenoblade, if
It
you
helps the
have like
channel.
your own anecdotes of your reaction to this whole opening section for
Yeah.
the first 3 chapters with like Fiora's death and like how you felt when you played it for the first time, I would love to read it. I'd love to read it to
Yeah,
Misfit if it
please.
doesn't have any spoilers, or just skip past the
Right.
spoilers and read it to Misfit. I think it would be super fun. So
Yeah.
with,
All right. So,
with all
well,
that said, what we usually say to end these videos around here,
cheers.
cheers.